Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist, and today I'm going to be doing a Lair of Darkness Fang of Critias deck profile. So you guys have requested me to do this one for a long time, and I finally decided, man, with Master Rule, 5 right around the corner, I really wanted to do this one because you can summon multiple of the Mirror Force Dragons, or Doom Virus Dragons, or all of these monsters that are extremely powerful and a lot of fun to play. So without further ado guys, let's get straight into this guys. But before we do, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the links in the description where the Patreon and Ko-Fi are if you guys would like to donate to the channel. All donations are much appreciated, so let's get straight on into this one. So, first off, we're going to be playing 2 copies of our Darkest Diabolos, Lord of the Lair, which is one of my favorite cards of all time. I absolutely love Darkest Diabolos. But basically what this card does is your opponent cannot tribute this face-up card on the field, so you can't kaiju it, but it has the ability that if a dark monster you control is tributed, you can special summon this card from your graveyard if it was there, or from your hand if it was in your hand. And it also has the ability that you can tribute a dark monster your opponent controls and then place one card from their hand either on the top or the bottom of their deck, which is really cool, but you can only activate one or the other of its effects per turn. But it's a really good boss monster in here that's a good of 2 of, because we have plenty of ways to get to it. Then we play 3 copies of Arima, the Wicked Warden. Arima, the Wicked Warden, basically says discard this card to add a Lair of Darkness from your deck to your hand, and then you can also tribute, when he's on the field, you can tribute a dark monster to draw a card, or if you tribute a dark monster other than this card, you can add a dark monster with 2,000 or more defense from your deck to your hand, which is always going to be our Darkest Diabolos, because it has right at 2,000. So this card is really the reason we only play Darkest Diabolos at 2, is because Arima gets us 2 Darkest Diabolos extremely quickly. And then we play 3 copies of Lith, Lady of Lament. I'm still waiting on the other one to come out, the other Lady of Lament. I don't remember what her name was, but we're waiting on her to come out. But basically what Lith does is if this card is normal summoned, its original attack becomes 1,000, which is not that big of a deal. But it also has the ability that you can tribute a dark monster to reveal 3 normal traps in your deck, and your opponent randomly chooses 1 for you, and you set that card onto your field. You can shuffle, and then you shuffle the rest back into the deck, which is not that big of a deal, because if you pick like Mirror Force and you pick all 3 of your Mirror Forces, you're guaranteed to get your Mirror Force. If you have Fang of Critias in your hand, you can immediately go for Mirror Force Dragon. So this card is really good to be able to put on the field to search all of your materials to go into your Mirror Force Dragons and stuff like that. Then we play a single copy of Skarm, Malebranche of the Burning Abyss, because it searches Lith, Lady of Lament. 1 copy of Tour Guide of the Underworld. Tour Guide of the Underworld is a really good card in here, because Tour Guide lets us normal summon itself, and then herself, and then after she does, she gets to special summon a level 3 Fiend monster from your hand or deck, but it cannot be used as synchro material. But we're not synchro summoning in this deck, so it's not that big of a deal. And then a single copy of Sangan. A single copy of Sangan. The reason we're playing Sangan at 1 is because if this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you get to add a monster with 1,500 or less attack from your deck to your hand, and then, but for the rest, you cannot activate cards or effects of cards with the same name as for the rest of the turn, but it lets us add cards like Tour Guide and stuff like that to our hand to be able to search those cards, which is really beneficial to be able to get into the deck a little bit deeper and get other monsters out. The last monster that we're going to be playing in this deck is going to be a single copy of Phantom Sky Blaster, which Phantom Sky Blaster is a really good card in here, because basically Phantom Sky Blaster lets us fill up on a bunch of different tokens on the field, which, I mean, I know Lair of Darkness already does that, but Phantom Sky Blaster is the card that we usually search off of the Sangan to be able to get all those tokens, because when this card is normal or flip summoned, you can special summon any number of Sky Blaster tokens up to the number of cards monsters you control, and then once per turn, during your standby phase, you can inflict 300 points of damage to your opponent for each Sky Blaster token you control, which is really good, but it's just a good normal summon in this deck. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. Not a lot of normal summons in this deck. Usually you're just trying to get to Lith as quickly as possible and get into the rest of the deck. So then we play 3 copies of Super Polymerization. Super Polymerization is really good in here because it makes everything's dark pretty much, so your Lair of Darkness is always going to be live. And that's why Lair of Darkness makes this card always live, that you can fusion summon your opponent's monsters to special summon your monsters from the extra deck. So this card is really good as a 3 copies of Called by the Grave. Called by the Grave is really good too, because basically this card just negates hand traps, which is extremely important when we're searching in the deck. 3 copies of Fang of Critias. Fang of Critias is crazy good. If you guys don't know what this card does, which some of you guys might not, basically what you do is you send either Ring of Destruction, Mirror Force, or Crush Card Virus to the graveyard from your field or your hand. Is it field or hand? Yeah, you can send one trap card from your hand or field to the graveyard that is listed on a fusion monster that basically that has Fang of Critias. Then you get to special summon either Mirror Force Dragon, Doom Virus Dragon, or Destruction Dragon. You get to special summon any of these 3 powerful boss monsters from your extra deck for freezies, pretty much, just by sending a trap card on your side of the field and a Fang of Critias from your hand, kind of like polymerization. So it's a really easy 2-for-1 deal at Walmart to get them out. So it's really, really, really good, and they're all extremely powerful monsters to summon out onto your side of the field. Then we play 3 copies of Allure of Darkness, because everything we play is dark, and it's not that big of a deal if we banish 1 or 2 monsters from our hand, because if we banish like an Arima, because we've already got Lair, it's not that big of a deal. If we banish 1 of our 2 Dark Staboloses and we've got 1 in the grave, it's not that big of a deal. So this card's really helpful to get into the Fang of Critias a little bit faster. Then we play 3 copies of Lair of Darkness. Lair of Darkness is the big field spell of the deck that you're going to want to use all the time. It makes all monsters on the field dark, and then once per turn, if you attribute a monster you control, you can attribute a monster your opponent controls to activate an effect, which is really, really cool and really awesome effect. But depending on the amount of monsters that are attributed during the player's turn, they have to put tokens on their side of the field equal to the number of monsters that are attributed. For instance, if I attribute my opponent's monsters on their turn, they get a token for every time I attribute a monster or they attribute a monster, which is cool, and I really like that ability. It's neat because it's kind of balanced. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps, and we do play quite a bit of traps in this deck because Lair of Darkness is all about those traps. Then we play 2 copies of Ring of Destruction. I just play it as a 2 of because it's a good card, but you don't want to draw it all that much. You can get into it extremely easy with Lith or hard drawing it. I really want to go for Doom Virus or Mirror Force Dragon a little bit over the other ones, but this card basically reads that you can destroy a face-up monster your opponent controls and inflict damage equal to that destroyed monster's attack points, but you can't activate this card if the damage would reduce your opponent's life point to 0, which is the errata, which is something interesting. This is the errata version. This is the old Pharaonic Guardian one, which I actually still have, which is pretty cool. Then we play 3 copies of Mirror Force. Mirror Force is really good in here because it not only protects us, but it also really is good to just throw this card face down and wait for your opponent to hit into it, and you flip Mirror Force and they're like, wait, what? You just flip Mirror Force on me? But you can activate this card when your opponent attacks and destroys all attack position monster your opponent controls. Then we play 3 copies of Crush Card. Crush Card is really interesting to summon Doom Virus Dragon because its effect with Doom Virus is like the old errata version where it's not, old anymore. It's like the overpowered version of it. And then this is kind of like the weakened down version of it or diluted down version of it. But basically what this card does is you tribute a dark monster with 1,000 or less attack, and then your opponent takes no battle damage or takes no damage until the end phase of the next turn. Also, you look at your opponent's hand and all monsters they control, and if you do, destroy monsters among them with 1,500 or more attack. Then the opponent can destroy up to 3 cards with 1,500 or more attack in their deck as well. So it's good, but it's not as good as it used to be at all. So it's still a fun card to play as a 3 of, though, in here. Then we play 3 copies of Eradicator Epidemic Virus, the better version of Crush Card Virus. You treat a dark monster with 2,500 or more attack, and then you choose spells or traps, and then you send those cards to the graveyard for the next 3 turns that your opponent draws. You get to look at all the cards your opponent draws and everything. Like, this card is really, really busted. I've won an ARG with that card. Like, it's just such a good card. 2 copies of Trap Trick because you can get into any of these trap cards with it as well because you want to be able to search it. And then 2 copies of Back to the Front. You always want to play your traps at least 2 so your Trap Trick can always search it. So Back to the Front just basically gets us our monsters out of the graveyard back on the field so we can use their effects again like Lith Lady of Lament. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to be playing 2 copies of Mirror Force Dragon. Mirror Force Dragon is really, really, really good in here because basically what this card does is when a monster you control is targeted for an attack or an opponent's card effect, except during the damage step, you can destroy all cards your opponent controls. So they can't target you with any attacks, any effects, without getting their entire board wiped. Which is just crazy to me that this card is this powerful. Like, Mirror Force Dragon is bonkers powerful, and it's just really good to play in Lair of Darkness. Like, it's just so easy to summon in here. 2 copies of Doom Virus Dragon. I play 2 copies of it as well. Basically, what Doom Virus Dragon does is the must be special summoned by the Fang of Critias, and you can use you have to use Crush Card Virus. And this card is special summon. Look at your opponent's hand and all monsters they control, and all cards they draw until the end of the 3rd turn after this activate or effect's activated, and destroy all of those monsters with 1500 or more attack. That is the real Crush Card Virus effect. It's crazy that they diluted the effect down and then put it on Doom Virus because it makes it more balanced. I only play a single copy of Destruction Dragon. It's probably the most underwhelming of them because what it does is once per turn you can target a card your opponent controls and destroy it. And then if it was a monster card, they take damage equal to the original attack. Good effect, but it doesn't have a lot of attack points, and it's a good card, but I would probably only ever play it at 1 in this deck. I play a Starving Venom Fusion Dragon for the Super Poly. Same thing with Mud Dragon, and with Predaplant, Dracostapelia is another copy of Super Poly targets, and then a single copy of the Predaplant that takes 3 dark monsters. This card is really good in this deck because all you have to do is use Super Poly on 3 monsters your opponent controls, and they're going to have tokens because you're going to attribute on their turn. So you can either use the tokens or cards that they have already to fusion summon into this. So it's just a good board wipe card that you use with Super Poly to go into this. Then I play 1 copy of number 47. 47 is really good because we play a lot of level 3s, and you got to have something with Tour Guide as well. Phantom Knight of Breaksword is another really good card that you can go into extremely easily in this deck with 2 level 3 monsters. For the Link monsters, we're going to be playing a single copy of Boral Sword to OTK, 1 copy of the Blackluster Soldier Link monster. You don't have to play this, but I like it because it's Darkest Diabolos. It makes it really easy to go into, and it's a really good beat stick, but you could probably change this out for something else if you don't want to play the Blackluster Soldier for, price cost, because I think it's still like a $70 card. 1 copy of Wee Witch's Apprentice because everything's dark, but the only thing that you have to keep in mind is Lair of Darkness makes everything dark, and Wee Witch boosts everything up, so it boosts up all your opponent's monsters by 500 as well, so that's something you have to keep in mind. And then a single copy of Link Spider because you can get rid of the tokens and go into Link Spider, so you can go into something else like your Blackluster Soldier. If you normal summon something out, like if you have like a Darkest Diabolos, a token, and some other monster on the field, you can link away the token for Link Spider and then go for the Blackluster Soldier Link and give it all the boosts. But you don't have to go for the Blackluster Soldier Link. You could even go for Boral Sword at that point because you have to have effect monsters. So Link Spider is really good if you just have 1 token on the field. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you enjoyed this. It's a really fun deck to play around with. You can just get, like I said, 3 copies of the... You can get 3 of the Lair of Darkness structure decks and pretty much throw this together. Like, there's not that much more that I added to this, except for maybe the Super Polys, Fang of Critias, and the Call by the Graves. The majority of the stuff came out of the structure deck, and I believe it's a 41 card deck, so that's something to keep in mind. So anyways, guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell so you can become part of the notification squad, and I'll see you guys in the next video. See you around, guys.